So let's get started. Our first question is, what was the defining moment that inspired the creation of Nexa?
Okay.
How did you know this was the path you had to take?
So it's a long story. So Nexa actually came out through my previous endeavor in tech. And in tech came from the love of cybersecurity. We love building things. And I started making content. And for the longest time, it started gaining more and more traction. And I remember people were getting hired. So I'm like, shit, this is cool. Why don't we turn this into a company? And that's when we started in tech. And in tech started doing amazing. But then people were coming to me and they're like, dude, this is amazing, but I'm not getting hired. And I was like, shit, what do I do? So how do we fix that? So if I hired career advisors, that would cost money. If I burnt out my instructors and said, hey, you guys, come here and give everybody one-to-one support, that would stop us from scaling in tech. So ideally, if I'm answering your question right, I came and built Nexa when I realized I cannot scale my training company because I cannot give everybody the time of day to get the career service they deserve. And I realized that, dude, nobody was good at right off learning something, how to build a resume, how to perform in interviews, how to find jobs, how to network, how to get opportunities. There was no place that can bridge that connection gap. And that's kind of where we started with that initial version of Nexa. It literally came from the passion of, we understand career services. I come from a background of being a dropout and learning all of this. And we're like, we can do this for my class. It literally was just me and in tech. This was not a world idea. And later people were like, dude, I just shared this with my friend. It's freaking amazing. And then, a few people shared it and we're like, oh shit, we can build this for the world. So that's kind of how we built Nexa.
Okay. And during that time and even now, what personal struggles or setbacks shaped your perspective on building a solution like Nexa?
So if you guys are watching, I don't know if you guys are ready for this, but pretty much every day for the whole year has been setbacks that we face. So first of all, you got to know how to code. And if you can't code, you got to find people that can code. And luckily for me, I started the base off, a little bit, but so many setbacks. We didn't have enough funding. I was working jobs, meaning I couldn't give it enough time, which then I had to quit, which resulted in meaning you're not making any fast money anymore. So there's no instant gratification for you to keep going, other than the fact if you're like wired to keep building it. Didn't realize that it would be 10 times harder than it really was. The product wasn't growing at the rate. We thought if we would just put this out and the whole world would see it. That's not really how it works. So much more intricate work went into it. Details, understanding more about the user's journey, family life, your friends, everybody wants, certain time from you and you can't do that because you're dedicated at building this thing. So pretty much every aspect of your life goes to, or pretty much gets ignored for this to work. And to this day, we're still going crazy like that. And it doesn't stop. And I feel like it won't stop for another year or two until we're fully running the cycle like how we want to run it.
And so from those setbacks, what would you say was the most painful reality that you faced when starting Nexa? And have you been able to push through it, and how?
What was the most painful reality we faced when building Nexa? That's an interesting question. Because when I first started, I thought it was going to be much easier. The most painful thing was realizing this is 100,000 times harder than I could ever imagine. And the most painful reality was I didn't expect it to be that challenging, that requiring of myself. Like, dude, we're going 14 to 18 hours a day and we're not seeing results month after month after month. It's very demoralizing. So we're telling ourselves, did we make the right decision? Should we just have kept our jobs? This is me, obviously I'm speaking of my partner Prithvi, my other co-founder, Victor. You realize, did you make a mistake? So the most painful thing was, did we screw up? Did we waste our time? Did we go in over our heads? Can we handle this? Are we built for this? And luckily we have a good system. And I always tell myself, like, I'm very, hard on this. And I like to tell myself, when you feel like quitting, just tell yourself quit tomorrow. and you repeat that process. So that's pretty much the main thing. And I tell people this, like, dude, if you're gonna build a startup, and whoever's watching this, I'll tell them too, you have to be willing to understand that this is not instant gratification and it's not money. Of course, people start a business to make money, but the whole point of this is you have to struggle for several years, and not because of you struggle just for the sake of struggling, but it's gonna be challenging. And if you can endure that and degrade your life to that level for a few years, then the gratification you get is, yes, a potential exit, or you get a really valuable company, you start getting good traction, your product is actually good. But if you just want money fast, listen, work. You can build skills, you can do, work in very high paying sectors and get money right away. This is not a quick money scheme, but there is a high payout if you can endure and understand that. So that's what we say at our, with me and my guys, of course,
How does Nexa solve a problem that you or someone close to you personally experienced?
The best way I can put it is it came from our previous company in tech. The biggest problem was that there's a gap between learning something when you take either a boot camp, you do an online course that's tailored to get you a career. Cybersecurity, the tech sector, medical. So when it comes to someone personal, it would be my own learners, right? At Intech, we were a personal bunch. We literally train 50 people to 100 people a month. That's it. Our instructors literally work with 30, 40 people. So it really sucked when they spent their money and they came to me and they were like, Divy, this is amazing. I learned so much, but I have no idea. How do I present myself to the market? Or what do I do with the resume? Some of them just didn't understand even how to do all that. So making this software, they're like, you literally in one place put resume building, interview simulations, job search, smart job search, meaning when they make their profile, it understands them consciously, the app. We use like custom machine learning models to basically look at your preferences, and if you do assessments on the application and your feedback scores based on the skills you're doing, it will read that and then it will give you better job insight. So let's say, for example, you say you're from Toronto, right? It will tell you and give you insights such as, we just noticed this keyword of project management professional show up in 45 more jobs recently. I would really want to work on this skill, right? So things like that. So that's some of the personal things that we experienced.
So you told us how Nexa solves problems that people have experienced and other working professionals in the industry have experienced.
Okay.
But what sets Nexa apart? Why is Nexa the next hot application that all these young kids should be using? Anyone that's in the industry right now can benefit from using. What is it about Nexa that really will drive someone's success in their career?
That's actually a very great question. We get this asked a lot by investors, and in the beginning I was kind of new to this, I didn't understand it. And the best way I can put it is nobody on the market right now is creating an all-in-one platform. What Nexa is doing is it's taking things that platforms like Future Fit is lacking, things like Indeed that doesn't actually do, things that LinkedIn is lacking. And here's the best way I can explain it. We connected our job seeker platform, meaning if you are a single user, you can come here either through a training organization or as an individual, and you can upskill yourself from resume building to job search to interview simulations to real-time job simulations and experimental learning, meaning projects that companies are looking for, and a dedicated AI career counselor, automated applications, all in one place. But the coolest part is that's connected to our secondary platform called Nexa RU, and that's a recruiting platform. We help employers hire better. The problem is all the recruiting platforms right now, they stop right there. They'll try to use some, AI automation to help applicants, but there's no interconnection between how to help a job seeker upskill and get better. And Nexa connects that to what we call, and we trademarked it, called Nexa Skill Print. All Nexa Skill Print is, and by the way, this is completely free for anybody to use. There's no money required for this. When you make a user profile on Nexa, it will literally ask you based on your skill set to go improve it. And that's our skill print. And that comes from, we of course take your resume into consideration and your degrees, but we're deviating from that because employers don't want to just see that. They want more than that. So now using Nexa Skill Print, you can literally showcase your skill sets and get tested on them. Get badges, earn rankings for that is publicly available and very well organized to see through our employer network. meaning our recruiters and our other side of the platform has full access to you, and you can continue upskill and learn more and keep becoming visible. Nobody has an ever existing feedback loop like that. They're segregated. You have some job seeker platforms, you have some individual tools, you have maybe some recruiting platforms. Nothing is interconnected the way we interconnected it before, in a constant feedback loop of improvement. And that's what we do with our platform.
So what you're saying is that Nexa benefits both recruiters and professionals seeking jobs by providing the professionals with a platform in which they can build and develop their skills, and giving recruiters transparency to the skills and developing mechanisms that the professionals have been completing.
Exactly. We showcase and bridge the gap between career advisors and training organizations by helping them reduce their operational efficiency. Of course, job seekers by giving them all these tools in one place. And on a recruiting side, of course, yes, by offering recruiters a place to source, screen, and basically do anything else required to find their best hire. All interconnected. Of course, we're a product suite and we have something specific for our training organizations. It's a specific experience for the job seekers and a specific experience for the recruiters, but everything is connected in that way.
And so that'll lead me to my next question. So from the explanation you've provided, you've given us some good points as to why Nexa is cutting edge in the industry, but being cutting edge requires continuous innovation. Can you give us some examples of how you are continuously building and innovating Nexa so that it can remain the number one cutting edge recruiting application in the industry?
The best way to put it is we literally text our users at a text basis. We are constantly iterating the application on literally bi-weekly basis. We text people, we call our current existing B2B clients. We do the same thing for our recruiters. We maintain friendships within our feedback loop. That's because just the other day, I called one of my clients and I said, hey, what do you think of this? Do you think of this tool? And I took their user data right away, took their feedback. Within the next week, we had it published. And we believe truly in iteration cycle. Similarly, we get that from motivation from Sam Altman, who's the founder of OpenAI. You guys probably heard of ChatGPT. I really resonated with that, and we incorporated that. Constant iteration. We take feedback and we improve. If it doesn't work, okay, cool. We'll figure out something that will work. And if that doesn't work, cool. And we're constantly iterating on a daily basis so we can create the best place for someone to upskill, be career ready, and improve their life. We're trying to level the playground, so no matter what background you come from, no matter what you're learning, you can go in the single place that will help you succeed on your career path. Plain and simple. That's all it is.
And so you said that having these connections and maintaining these friendships to people in the industry has really been beneficial to the company. So can you elaborate on that just a little bit more? How do these stories of these job seekers, of these professionals that you know, and their current struggles and the trends that they have seen in the industry, how does that motivate you to continue to innovate Nexa?
Simply because, we realize they're just humans and they have real struggles. And, I speak with my team, Prithvi, one of my partners, co-founder, he's the technical lead here. And learning from them is nothing more important because they're the ones that are going to be behind the screen using it. If I can't understand their pain points, understand what hardships they face, why am I here making a product? That's what makes us tick. We genuinely want to build something that is truly outstandingly useful to people that fit this sector, aka looking for a career, and on the recruiting side, looking to hire the best talent. We want to make everything clean, easy, and transparent, and interconnected. And you can answer some of these too now.
And so Nexa is obviously a business that you've started, and obviously you have co-founders and you've been working on it, and you've provided us with some really great information as to how you continue to build and develop and upscale this application. But is it just business for you? What about Nexa makes it your life's work? Talk about your purpose, this journey. What about it is really driving you, and why is it more than just a platform? Why is it more than just an application?
That's a great question. So let me dive into that a bit better. What makes it our life's work? we don't see the point of building something if we're not going to take it to end and give it 100%. If we're not giving it our all, we'd rather not build it. So we decided to take on the problem of outdated career services, inefficient career service delivery. So the operational side is inefficient recruitment and hiring. If we're not going to build the best solution for this, there's no point doing it. We love building things. We love creating the most powerful and useful products. And that's literally the goal. And if we cannot do that goal, then there's no point, half-assing it. That's the best way I can put it. And
So throughout this journey and you said that Nexa is your life's work, I can imagine that's been challenging as a young entrepreneur, definitely in a very competitive, cutting edge industry.
always.
Has there been a moment when you felt completely defeated in this journey, and what did you do to keep yourself going?
The best thing I can say is like, it's making me laugh because I'm thinking of, the faces me and my partner and my 3 partners making these calls where, we went on sprints for raising, investors, and I was pretty naive to it. So I didn't understand. I thought, okay, cool. We make a good deck. We'll, explain this vision, how we all saw it, and we'll get a round raised. And I think we faced maybe 25 rejections where we felt so morally depleted. And, after this was happening simultaneously while the product development was completely going maybe 10 times longer than expected. And while we were doing maybe, I would say, 250 cold calls per day that were all being rejected, only about, I would say, 4 months ago, this is around June and July, where I looked at him and he looked at me, I'm like, yo, should we just build something else? And, every email that I read that popped up in the morning that said, hey, man, we got to look at your deck. It's just not the right time, or come contact us when you're, making more progress, or hey, we only look at the companies that are making like X amount of monthly recurring revenue. And it really told me, I was like, dude, why the hell do you guys want to invest? Like, obviously the whole point is you give seed money and then we make money, right? But that was the time where I felt like, dude, everything is going wrong. This is not fun. It was supposed to be a quick, we thought, oh, this will make money. We'll be like relaxing, on a yacht somewhere in Dubai.
And so, as an entrepreneur, and it's
Crazy.
Like you can speak firsthand about the hardships about entrepreneurship. What do you wish more people understood about the reality of building a startup like Nexa?
That's your camera, right? Guys, you can't build a startup if you're going to chase money right away. And believe it or not, yes, 1%, you could get lucky. And you could have a gold star idea that just, like butter, has a product market fit, and boom, we love it, right? Facebook, sure, product market fit. He started it in Harvard and all of his friends were already on it. That's what was the product market fit. The user base was comfortable with each other, which created this like blazing fire of demand in the Harvard campus, which just went to other campuses. And of course, then they opened it up to the public, which created, once again, blazing product market fit because all the college kids were on it. It's very rare that happens. Often, of course, that happened again with Instagram. And once again, that's because, when parents started coming on Facebook, that created an avenue to create something cool again, right? Which is why Instagram and these tools were made. But it's very challenging to expect money. They did this like with years of hard work. And I just tell people this, like, if you're going to build a startup, I don't think it doesn't matter if you're not smart. It doesn't matter if you can't code. These are cool things to have. They really help, of course. Doesn't matter if you're good at sales. Once again, cool thing to have. What matters is what is your pain tolerance and what is your persistence level? Can you handle people around you, your family, your friends? You're going to hear a lot of different opinions. A lot of negativity will be thrown your way because everybody likes to project themselves, right? If they can't see themselves doing it, they might put that on you. How hard can you handle that? And if you can do that at a very high level and still perform and maintain focus and show up every day after every day after every day, I think that's the best skill to have. Persistence is the best way I can put it. So
being persistent and being resilient.
Being persistent and being resilient. You guys can look it up. You've seen proof, guys. All these apps, right? Coinbase, WhatsApp, the unicorns we like to call it that you guys use, Instagram, Snapchat. These guys went through hundreds of iterations and so many failures. We just only find out when it's on the app store. Nobody knows the story in the back end, right? But to get to that app store, to get to that famous level, there's probably a lot of pain and a lot of people sitting in the drawing board over and over again who just didn't give up, who just woke up every day to finish it off, right? So that's the best way I can put it.
And if I were to ask you another question, I guess I would ask, what would you say to your younger self, so a young entrepreneur just starting out, or even someone very early on in their career that's, deciding to explore, maybe potentially exploring entrepreneurship? What is one piece of advice that you wish someone gave you, and what is one piece of advice that now that you are experienced, you can give to someone else?
Well, like I said, I'm still learning, and I always consider myself
Continuously learning, of course.
continuously learning, and it depends. If I'm talking to somebody who wants to be an entrepreneur, or like someone who wants to work, it would be a little different, but it's the same thing. I would say go learn some successful skills first and actually work. If you truly maybe come from like a background where you can build something, like if you're building in the SaaS space, aka software, if you're coding and you ended up building it, that's amazing. Build things that people will like to use and start with that. But if it's just someone who's like, no, I don't know what I want to do, but I just want to be an entrepreneur, I would say go tag some skills first. See how these companies operate. I think it would be so much easier, and I got lucky because I worked in cybersecurity prior to this, where I worked in these corporate companies when I understood the hierarchy, right? This being large corporate banks, large consulting companies and consulting firms, you could see the breakdown where innovation fades off, where bureaucracy takes place, where ideas die, where efficiencies happen, where the different hierarchies and management of all these systems can sometimes work amazingly with great tools, or also where there's single downfalls in these companies. You wouldn't know that if you've never worked a company before. Not that I'm saying it's the most super important things, but it'll give you a super great edge of, let's say you want to be an entrepreneur and you don't know what you're doing. It becomes really challenging and you end up chasing a problem. Where if you just keep learning stuff and you start working, and the benefit is you'll make money, you'll learn things, but you'll also probably witness and experience a lot of problems and steps in enterprise companies, in your personal life, in learning journeys, where you can actually create a business out of that, which would be really a lot harder. When you personally experience pain points, like how we did at Nexa, your vision statement, your mission statement is 10 times more powerful because you felt it. So I would say go out there, learn stuff, experience things, and then go right at it. And don't listen to what everybody says. If you're going to build it to the end.
So essentially what I'm hearing is you would be telling young entrepreneurs, understand the playing field, because that's the only way to win. You have to know what's going on in the industry. You have to know what skill sets you need, and then that way you'll be able to be successful, or at least navigate through the hardships of.
It'll definitely help you versus just starting alone with an idea, right? Like, once again, I can take it back to examples where people think like that fluked, right? Microsoft, obviously, he didn't have a job first, or I'll say Mark Zuckerberg, he didn't really work a job. So you must be wondering, well, what about them? Number one in a billion, right? But two, he was building things before Facebook. They were building small little things and looking at problems that they're having in school. Once again, it doesn't have to be a job, but go to university. People always say, like, university sucks. The only time you should be quitting your schooling is if your friggin' business that is making you money is coming in the way of school, right? Then you can leave school and say, look, I have physically attained a successful revenue venture and now school is affecting that. Sure, go for it, right? You're learning a lot more running that business than you ever will in school. If that's not the case, there's no excuse not to deny education, right? Or if maybe it's not the right tool for you, right? Like if you're going for the wrong reasons. But yeah, to sum it up exactly, it really will make your life easier if this is what you want to do, because you just simply witnessed or experienced more problems that can be turned into businesses that offer a solution to solve these problems.
And tying back to the question that I had asked you initially, what is one piece of advice you wish someone had given you when you were starting off?
Interesting. I'm trying to think of it. And I think the best piece of advice if somebody can give me starting off was, it's going to be probably 10,000 times harder than you think, but you should still continue to do it daily anyway. And that would be the best advice, because everybody wants me to say this is cool and it's fun. And guess what? There is times that it's really cool and it's fun. We're building things, you know, you set your own schedule, but that comes with a lot of, it's just very challenging. And if you're not built for this, like you really want to be able to be passionate about it. It's not even about the business side of it or the operation side, although these are great helpful factors. It's simply being, how persistent can you be when life will slap you in the face on a daily basis from every aspect? Can you still get up and work toward the goal? Or will you fold? If you have that, that is the most, like, you know, persistence, drive, right? Sheer grit, I think nothing's more important than that. So if I can give advice, I would take that back. Say, yes, it's going to be 10,000 times harder, but you need to still keep going, because it will get better. But you have to keep going. As soon as you quit, you have successfully reduced your odds to 0% of any success. But if you keep going, there's always going to be a chance. And that's where I'll probably leave it at.
And we appreciate that. We appreciate all your insight. It's been lovely chatting with you, and we can't wait to see what Nexa does next. Yeah,
man. I mean, thank you guys for having me. And guys, if anybody wants to check it out, like, you know, we're always free to try, you know, at trynexa.com. And thank you for having me at your studio. It was super awesome.
All right.
All right.